Hey, it's Lexus, and it's time to do my May to July wrap-up. I'm not meaning to do these 3-month wrap-ups. It's just what's been happening. I'm really sorry about it. So from May to July, I have a total of 27 books to talk about, 2 of which are DNFs, and a lot of which I ended up unhauling because I didn't like them. I guess let's get started. We're going to start with May. So the first book that I read in the month of May was Butcher and Blackbird by Bren Weaver. I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. If you saw my video on this, you kind of already know my thoughts, but let's talk about it a little bit more. So this is a story of a girl named Sloane and a guy named Rowan who both happen to be serial killers. That's what they are. They actually are rivals when they first meet each other. Like, they kind of have this rivalry going on between the two of them. But eventually, after a few years, they form a friendship and turns into a romantic relationship between 2 serial killers. It is actually a really insane story. I'm going to be honest, I didn't think I was going to like this. Like, I literally was like, this is disgusting. Chapter 1, I was gagging. But I pushed through and ended up really enjoying this book. I would highly recommend it. But you guys are telling me that the second one's not as good, so now I'm really scared to continue the series. Like, I have them right here on my shelf. But you guys said the second one's not very good, so it's making me nervous. But let me know if you think I should still continue anyway. Next, I read Kingdom Keepers 4 Power Play by Ridley Pearson. Ended up giving this one 3 stars. I don't know what all I can say about this since it is the 4th book in a series, but this was like the last book before things went weird. That's what I'm gonna say. I really don't want to give any spoilers, but once book 5 hit of the series, which I will get to when I talk about my June books, the series just plummeted. It went downhill. I lost interest. And I found out, guys, I found this out. This is the new covers, like the newer release covers. When he released this version of the series, he cut out so much stuff from the original books. So I was missing like half of a story. So maybe I would have liked this whole series more if I had the originals. But like this was book 6. This was missing, I think, over 200 pages that he cut out. Are you serious right now? So that kind of made me irritated. But like I said, I gave this one 3 stars. It's the 4th in a series, so I don't know what all I can tell you, but I either want to reread this in the old copies or something, because I feel like I missed a lot. Then I read If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I gave this 4.5 stars. I did not think I was going to like this book. I'm going to be real honest with you. This is the story of 7 college students who are going to school studying Shakespeare. That's kind of boring. If you just think about that being the premise, that is really boring, actually. But I took a Shakespeare class this past semester, and I really enjoyed myself, way more than I thought I was going to. We read some of his plays I never heard of before, so that was fun. Then we also read, classics like Julius Caesar and Hamlet. But I did not think I was going to like this, and I ended up eating it up. The ending made me so upset. Literally, my husband looked at me when I was freaking out over this ending, and he goes,
"Everything is okay. It's fiction."
Boy, no, you don't understand. I loved this book a lot more than I thought I was going to. So they're all, friends outside of class, but in class, they're all competing for the major roles in each of the plays and everything. And then one day, one of them ends up dead. So now all these actors and performers have to convince themselves and each other that they're all blameless in this whole situation, that none of this is their fault. It was just very interesting. Next, I read a book that I borrowed from the library, so I don't have a physical copy of this anymore, but it is called Meet Me in the Margins by Melissa Ferguson. I actually do want to buy a physical copy of this because I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. For the past, 2 years, 3 years, I would see this in stores all the time, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to get it. That cover's too cheesy, too cute. I'm not going to end up liking it, because that's what's been happening to me. The cutest covers, I haven't been liking them. So I'm like, no, I don't need it. I'm not going to like it. Then I saw it at the library, and I was like, okay, the library, everything's free. If I don't like it, I just bring it back, whatever. Ended up giving it 4 stars. Loved it. So this is the story of a girl named Savannah who works in a publishing house. She works at this place that what do they call it? Hold on. If you see me looking down, it's because I wrote down the synopsis of the books I don't have with me so that I can make sure I tell you everything. It says the company that she works for is a publishing company that only publishes highbrow works worth publishing, which is basically just nonfiction in their eyes. They think that it's silly to publish fiction. They don't think that it should be a thing. Well, Savannah herself actually wants to become an author, so she's been writing a romance novel. Well, that's fiction, so she can't even talk about it at work because they won't understand her. And when she drops her manuscript on the floor in this meeting, this new boss helps her pick up the pieces of paper from the floor. He ends up reading the first page of her manuscript, kind of stares at her like, what do you think you're doing? And she's now embarrassed because she's like, oh my God, this new boss, what if he doesn't like what I'm writing? What if he's gonna make fun of me? Whatever. He doesn't end up saying anything about it, so she just goes on about her day. After the meeting's over, she goes into the ARC room. I don't know if this is a thing in all publishing companies, but in the book, they have a room with all the special arcs in it. She goes in there and finds a file cabinet and shoves her manuscript in there, and she's like, I'll just get this at the end of the day. I don't want to think about it anymore. I want it out of my sight. But when she goes back at the end of the day to grab her manuscript, it is now sitting on the floor, and somebody has went through and read the whole thing and like made notes on the margins and telling her what she can fix and how to make her manuscript better. Like, that was just a really interesting concept and a really cool story. I liked it so much more than I thought I was going to. Another one that I also got from the library is Nick and Charlie by Alice Osman. I gave this 3 stars. This is a novella in the Heartstopper universe, and I didn't like this one as much as I liked the Heartstopper books. Personally, I know that Heartstopper is a young adult series, but I felt more connected to them in the actual storyline than I did in this novella. So in this novella, Nick is about to go off to college, which you find out in the 4th or 5th book. I don't remember which one. This is like, I guess, takes place after that. I don't fully know. If you guys know, let me know for sure. Charlie's upset by this, obviously. Like, if your significant other is about to leave and go somewhere without you, like, sometimes you get sad about it. But he's taking this to an embarrassing level. Like, he's upset about it. And it made me cringe because I'm not gonna lie, this is how I was when I was in high school. Like, I was way over emotional about everything, just like Charlie was. So this was giving me like secondhand embarrassment because I remember how I acted in high school and it was terrible. It made me just feel like this book was way too young adult for me, so I just wasn't a huge fan of it. But I think I would still recommend it if you loved the series because it does go along with it. And then I also read This Winter by Alice Osman, which is another novella. I don't know if this one is in the Heartstopper universe or if it's in the Solitaire universe. So in This Winter, it's about all of the siblings, Charlie, Tori, and I can't remember their little brother's name. But This Winter is about them. They're all having kind of a horrible festive season right now. They don't want to be alone, but they also don't want to be together. So whenever things start getting worse at home, it's like telling how they're all trying to deal with the different things that go, like being thrown at them in their life. It was cute, and I gave it 3 stars, but again, not my favorite. Then the last book that I read in the month of May was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I did a reread, gave this 5 stars again. I think I'm gonna love this book until I die. So if you haven't read this is the story of Evelyn. She was a movie star in the 50s to the 80s, basically, and then she just kind of gave up, retired, I guess. It's now 2017. She feels like it's time for her to tell her life story, but she's only gonna tell it to one reporter named Monique. Monique's trying to figure out what she did to get selected to be around such a big movie star. Evelyn's like, you'll find out. Just come listen to my story. But I'm only telling you. I don't want you to put this in your little magazine job. Whatever. I'm selling the rights to you. You're going to write my autobiography. It's a very interesting story. Like, you find out so much about Evelyn. And I just love this book. Like, I kind of want to read it again for a 3rd time. Please read this. Now in June. Okay, so this is also another book that I got from the library, so I don't have a physical copy of it, but it's called Lucky Leap Day by Anna Marie Walker, and I gave this one 3 stars. So this book started out with a really cool premise, and I was like, okay, I'm really gonna love this book. And then I got like halfway through it and I'm like, yeah, I don't like this at all. So this is the story of Kara or Kara. I still don't know how to say it. So it's about her, and she went on this trip for her job. She had to go to Ireland for, was it like a seminar or something? I don't remember. She wanted to do her ex-boyfriend there, and he has a date. So that kind of throws her off because she was, she wasn't expecting that. Anyway, she goes to the pub and she gets drunk one night, which happens to be Leap Day. So in Ireland, apparently, every Leap Day is when women propose to men instead of the other way around like it is the rest of the year. But only on Leap Day is when it's like acceptable for that to happen. And while she's at this pub, she gets all drunk and I guess caught up in the moment, and she proposes to this guy that she doesn't even know. Like, he happened to be her like Uber driver. So she kind of met him, but she doesn't know who he is or anything. And then when she wakes up the next morning, she has like a little bit of memory of doing it, but she thought it was a dream till she looks over next to her and he's in her bed and they both have on like tinfoil rings that they made each other. So now she's like freaking out because she has to fly back to LA for her job like in a few hours. She's now like in Ireland and like, oh my God, I'm married? Like, what is going on? So now she has to figure out what she's supposed to do about being married. And until they figure it out, he decides he's going to leave Ireland and fly back to LA with her and stay with her till they figure out what's going on. It was just kind of a weird story. It was fun at first, and then it just got weirder and weirder as it went, and I didn't really like it. Then the second book that I read in June, I actually unhauled this one because I didn't like it at all, but it was Summer in the City by Alex Astor. I gave this 2.5 stars. I wanted so bad to like this because the cover is so gorgeous, and I've heard great things about Alex Astor, like her Lilac series. The way that I disliked Summer in the City, I also unhauled the Lilac series because I don't think I'm gonna like it. Let me know if that was a mistake, but I really could not be bothered because I did not like Summer in the City that much. Summer in the City is the story of Elle, who is a screenwriter. In the screenplay that she's currently writing, it's about New York, so she herself has to travel to New York and go to the locations she's writing about so she can make them feel authentic to her, which I guess is a really good idea. And when she gets to New York, turns out that her next door neighbor for the summer while she's there is none other than tech billionaire guy that she apparently has history with. You find out that they like made out in a stairwell like 2 years prior, and she like hated him ever since and tried to get him out of her head and whatever else. Yeah, so that was interesting. They had to end up fake dating for something he had to do. He needed her to be his fake girlfriend, and she just said, yeah, I'll do it. If you hate this man, why are you fake dating him? I don't know. Everything about that book just irritated me. I was not a fan. The third book that I tried to read in June, I DNF'd, which happens to be None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. The premise of this book was so cool, but the execution was not good at all. So this story is about this woman named Alex who has a podcast. It's apparently a very well-known podcast. She's out for dinner on her birthday, and she runs into this lady named Josie. Josie's like, oh my God, we're birthday twins. Like, that is so cool. And Alex is like, happy birthday. Like, yeah, that's cool. And Josie's like, you should have me on your podcast. I have a story that you would love to hear. And Alex is like, okay. Like, I don't usually invite people on my podcast unless I know a little bit about them first. But sure, like, we're birthday twins. What could go wrong? This woman was giving me the creeps. Josie was insane. This woman seemed like she was like obsessed with Alex. Like, in a stalkery way. She was taking things like a drawing her kid drew. Like, what do you need that for? She was like going through her trash can. Like, hold on. What is wrong with you, Josie? And then we find out some of Josie's story. And guys, she met her husband when she was 14 and he was like 41. That is disgusting behavior. And I just couldn't read it anymore after that. I was like, no, that's enough for me. I don't know how this book got such high ratings. I just couldn't do it. So if the ending was way better and maybe that's what makes it worth it, I'll never know because I'm not finishing that book. I can't do it. The next book that I read was After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this book 4.5 stars in the moment, but I think I'm gonna have to bump it down to 3.5 after I've sat and thought about it a lot more. So this is the story of Lauren and Ryan, who have been married. I don't know if it says. I want to say they've been married for like 5 years. It could be longer than that. I don't remember exactly. But they've been doing nothing but nonstop fighting lately. So they think that they're going to take a break from each other. And the way that they're going to do this is they're going to take a year and see other people, have no contact with each other, and see if they come back and they're still in love with one another. But the things that were happening in this book are not okay. So the premise sounds really cute, like, okay, they're gonna try to work things out, they're gonna see if they still love each other, if they're actually in love, whatever. I was excited for that because I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. I'll see if I like it. Why was she reading his emails? Why was she obsessively jealous of him? And she kept almost like being a stalker to him, and she was like,
I don't feel comfortable with the idea of him sleeping with other women. I don't know if he's sleeping with other women, but if he is, I don't like it.
And then she would like try to figure out if he's sleeping with other people. That's really weird behavior. Really weird behavior. Then you find out later on, he was doing the same thing. Because this is all told in her perspective, so you don't get his perspective until later in the book. And you don't really get his perspective, you just get what he says to her. But he also tells her that he read her email and that he was also jealous of her and the idea of her being with another man. That's toxic. That is toxic. So, I don't know what I was thinking in the moment when I gave it 4.5 stars, but it's more of like a 3 or 3.5 stars now. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I don't know about this one. Next I read It's a Date Again by Geneva Rose. I gave this one 4 stars. I think this is the only book that she's ever written that's a romance. I think everything else she's written is a thriller. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I read this. This is the first book I've ever read by her, and I loved it. So this is the story of Peyton, who is on her way to tell this man that she loves him when she is suddenly hit by a car and now she has amnesia. She wakes up in the hospital. She doesn't know who she is, let alone who these people in the hospital room are. There's 3 guys that show up in this hospital, all claiming to be her boyfriend. What? So her best friend has the idea of, hey, date all of them again, figure out who you were going to go tell you love before you were hit by a car. It's like a crazy idea, a crazy premise, and I think she executed it very well. I really enjoyed this book. Next I read Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I gave this book a 2 star, and I also unhauled it. I had such high expectations for this book because I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, and I was so disappointed. So this is the story of Eleanor. In my opinion, I don't think that Eleanor knows what thoughts are. She literally says everything that pops in her head. So there's one point in the story where Eleanor says something along the lines of, I'm not a judgmental person. I don't like judging people. And then the next sentence, she starts to judge the person next to her. Like what the person's wearing, what the person had for lunch, everything like that. That didn't sit real well with me. Some of the things that she was like being judgmental about, she was kind of rude. And not kind of, I mean really rude. The way that she would say things to people, the things she would think about people. I just didn't like her at all. It felt like the author was trying to write Eleanor as a relatable character, but she could not be any further from relatable. And if you think that's bad, the mommy character in this book, way worse than Eleanor. And I didn't think that was possible with as much as I hated Eleanor. But I know that so many people love this book, so I really wanted to love it too. I just couldn't do it. So, if you guys read this, let me know your thoughts on it, because I hope I'm not the only one that didn't like this book. The next 4 books that I read was the remainder of the Kingdom Keeper series by Ridley Pearson. So there's 3 physical books, and then I read a novella that goes in between books 6 and 7. In my honest opinion, the novella was irrelevant. It had nothing to do with the story. Like, could have just been a novella, like, off on its own. Literally had nothing to do with the story. Book 4 was like the last of the normal Kingdom Keepers series, in my opinion. Because when we get to book 5, now they're on a Disney cruise. That is part of the Disney properties, so it worked. but they were on a Disney cruise on their way to Disneyland for these books. So he like switched parks. Okay, cool. Whatever. Do your thing. These last 2 books literally felt like it was a totally different story. Totally different characters. Nothing from like the previous 4 books felt like they were relevant. And I just didn't like it. I was loving the series, the first 2 or 3 books that I read. And then I got to book 4 through 7 and I'm like, what in the hell is this? So I don't even know if I would recommend this series anymore, and I don't know if I really want to keep it on my shelf. But also, like I was saying earlier, I found out that he cut out a lot of information when he re-released them. So maybe I will like the series better if I read the original. I don't really know. But as of right now, I didn't like these. Next, I read Past, Present, Future by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and I gave this book 3.5 stars. So this is the sequel to Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, and I read that, was it March or April? And I gave it 5 stars. I was obsessed. I loved the characters, and I just was so excited that there was a sequel because I wanted to read more about them. So this is when Rowan and Neil are going off to college. They just finished high school in the first one. So they're going off to college, but they're going to separate colleges. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a long distance relationship kind of book. I've been in a long distance relationship, so maybe I will relate. I didn't relate at all. So it felt to me that the first half of this book felt like it was a different story altogether. Like, it did not feel like it was the same characters. It didn't feel like it was the same author that wrote it. Nothing. Nothing about it felt similar. And then you get about halfway through and you're like, okay, these are the same characters. I don't know what they were doing in the first half of the book, but now I'm starting to like them again. I'm starting to relate to them more, whatever. Also, this is marketed as young adult, and it should not be. Definitely should not be young adult. There is spice in here. So keep that in mind as well. But like I said, I was kind of disappointed by this. It was not at all what I thought it was going to be. Am I going to keep it? I don't know. It is technically the sequel, but I feel like the first one didn't really need a sequel, and I was disappointed by it, so this might end up getting on hold. We will see. But as of right now, 3.5 stars. Then the last book that I read in June is The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I gave this book 3 stars, and I was kind of disappointed in this one as well. So when I read the back of this, I was so excited for it because it's about, I still don't know how to say her name. I think it's Delphi. She dies because she choked on food, like just dead in her apartment. When she gets to, I guess what they called the waiting room, she meets this guy there. They hit it off, have this like huge connection. She's like, oh my God, like I'm so excited to be dead along with this guy, right? Turns out he was there by mistake, so he gets sent back. And she's like, wait, if you can send him back, why don't you send me back? And the person that was in charge was like, okay, I will send you back, but you only have a certain amount of time and you have to end up with this guy that you just met here. And she's like, well, I don't even know who he is or where he's from. She's like, it doesn't matter. You got 10 days, figure it out. So she tries and like finds the guy, whatever, like tries to do that. But just the way that the story was told, I was not that interested in it, honestly. Like the premise sounds so cool. I thought I was gonna love it and I was just bored. Yeah, there's that one. Now for July. So the first book I attempted to read in July was The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hildebrand. I ended up DNFing this on the beach during my vacation. I just couldn't get into it. I was reading it and at first I was intrigued. I was like, okay, so this person is dead. They're trying to figure out what happened. So the police is going around interviewing everybody, trying to get their side of the story. And then the groom's father, he was hella creepy. Hella creepy. He was like hitting on girls more than 30 years younger than him, cheating on his wife while doing it. Then he was lying to his wife and kind of gaslighting her and saying that he wasn't doing it. Insane. Did not like that man. Then I just got to the part in the book where I was just bored. I just couldn't read it anymore. Everything was feeling like it was draining me. I would rather be doing anything else than reading that book. So I came to the decision to DNF it. After I DNF'd it, I was like, okay, well, I gotta see what happens at the end. Like, I'm interested enough to where I just want to see what plays out, but I don't want to read about it anymore. So I flipped to the end, figured out what happened, was really mad. And then I was like, well, I'm glad I didn't just sit here and finish reading this book because that would have made me so angry. Well, where I was actually at on my vacation, like on the beach, there was a little free library on the beach in front of this restaurant, like right next to where I was. So here's a little bit of footage of me putting this book in a little free library. Wasn't that library cute? I love that library. Like, I wish I could visit that every day. I love that library. So then the next book that I actually listened to this one on audiobook, Statistically Speaking by Debbie Johnson. I loved this story. Like, I didn't think I was going to like it. I just downloaded it from Libby because the audiobook was available and the cover looked interesting. I actually really enjoyed it. So this is the story of Gemma. She is a high school teacher, I believe. She ended up giving a child up for adoption when she was 16 years old. She never really told anyone about it, but it bugs her every day. She thinks about it all the time. She's like, I wonder what this kid's up to. I wonder if they're enjoying their life. They're having a better time with the family I gave them to than what they would have had with me. Whatever. Well, this year happens to be the year that the child would be turning 18. And apparently there's some website or something that once you turn 18, if you've been adopted, you can get on this website and you can give permission for your birth parents to reach out to you if they've given permission that they would be willing to do that. Well, apparently Gemma signed up for it, so she was waiting for her kid's 18th birthday. She gets on the website to find out if her daughter wants to have connections with her, wants to talk to her, meet her, whatever. So that's basically what this story is about. And it was a really good story. I had a very fun time listening to this audiobook. Next, I read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I gave this book 5 stars. I read this in my 24-hour video. So this is the story of Margaret. We are learning more about her life. She decides that she's going to invite Alice and Hayden to this remote island that she lives on to basically figure out which one of them is going to write her autobiography. So in a way, this is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but instead of just one specific person automatically writing the biography, she's going to make them compete for it. I think that's a very cool premise, and honestly, I think I'm in the minority when I say this, but I wanted more of that. I didn't care about the romance. The romance felt forced. It didn't feel natural. I didn't like anything about the romance. I wanted more of Margaret. I wanted to know more of her story, but I liked the 2 characters separately. I really feel like I related to Alice, like on a personal level. Like we could have been BFFs. But Hayden he was okay. Wasn't my favorite. But I did not see the chemistry in the 2 of them, like at all. But other than that, I really enjoyed the story. Gave it 5 stars. Then in that same video, I read Julia Chan is Dead by Leanne Zing. Gave this one 2 stars. I'm so disappointed. I thought this was going to be 5-star. It was one of my 5-star predictions for the rest of this year. So excited for it, and it fell completely flat. So this is the story of Julie, and she just lives this normal life. She has this sister, twin sister, named Chloe, who is actually this like mega famous influencer. She gets a call one day out of the blue, like Chloe never calls her, and her voice is muffled and she just keeps repeating, I'm sorry. That's kind of weird. And then the line just goes dead. So now Julie's freaking out. She's like, what does that mean? So she finally figures out Chloe's address, goes there, finds Chloe dead on the floor. Instead of doing the sensible thing, she steals Chloe's identity. So now she's telling the police, yeah, this is my sister Julie. She just had a drug overdose. She kind of had this addiction. And I came home and found her. I don't know. And then just like tried to play herself off as Chloe. That part, really cool. Loved that part. I wanted more of that. But then after that, it just got weird. Suddenly there's a cult. People are doing things that are making me in real life gag. No. Here's my review from Goodreads. And I stand by that. Don't read this. And the last one from that 24-hour video was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one I gave 5 stars. So this is the story of Joan. She was a professor at Rice University teaching physics and astronomy. She's like super obsessed with space and stars and everything that has to do with all that. She ends up seeing this opportunity to apply for a position with NASA. NASA is now going to start accepting women in their programs. Like, that's amazing. So she applies and she gets accepted. So now she's going to go work for NASA. Like, she is ecstatic. This book then does a now and then timeline. So in the now timeline, things are chaotic. So much is going on in the now timeline. I wish that it didn't flash back and forth. I understand the point of it. I knew what she was doing when she wrote the book that way. But let me tell you, the amount of times that something crazy would happen in the now timeline, and then the next page would be flashing back to a previous year or whatever, 2 years, 3 years. I don't care. At that point, I don't care. I just want to keep reading in the now. But I'm glad I read it the way that she wanted me to. I didn't skip around like I thought about. I really loved this book. Like, the story, fabulous. Fantastic. Literally the only bad part about this book was Barbara. Barbara is the sister of Joan, and she is a horrendous person. If you've read this book and you liked Barbara, I really don't know what that says about you, but I couldn't stand her. I feel like most people that read this book also feel the same way and hate Barbara, because you should. She's horrible. Anyway, please read this book if you haven't already. If you're even the least interested in space, like even just like this much interested, read it. It tells, like, you learn so much about space. It was telling me things that I never knew, telling me certain things about spacecraft and about stars and how to figure out which constellation is which one when you look in the night sky. Like, I loved this book. Please read it. Next, I read Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. In my book shopping video, I actually almost bought this at Half Price Books. And let's just say I'm glad I didn't do that. So I ended up getting the audiobook from Libby the same day I almost bought this book. Blessing, by the way. This book was really strange. Like, I really don't know where to start. So it's about this 14-year-old named Mary Jane who becomes this babysitter for this rich family. I don't know if Mary Jane was just completely sheltered at home or if this family that she's now nannying for is just unhinged. But this 14-year-old, it felt like she knew absolutely nothing. Like, nothing about anything in the world. She gets to this house and the little girl's like, hey, will you color with me? And the book that she's coloring in is like a coloring book of the human body. All right, teach your kids parts of their body. Like, I'm okay with that. But the little girl's just walking around going,
come on, let's color the penis.
Like, and then the dad, we find out, is they called him a doctor, but he's not like fully a doctor. Maybe a psychiatrist is the right word. I don't remember. But he has this patient coming who is a drug addict, and he's gonna stay in the house with his 5-year-old and this nanny for the summer till his treatment gets better. Now she's lying to her parents because she knows they won't approve of that, but she wants to keep this job. So she's lying to her parents about what's going on, and I don't know, the story was just completely weird, and I was not a fan. I heard great things about it, and everyone seemed to love it, so I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting story. Interesting it was, it just wasn't for me. So the last book that I listened to in the month of July is Definitely Better Now by Ava Robinson, and I gave this book 4 stars. This book had me crying. This is the story of Emma. She's 26 years old, and she's just trying to navigate her life. So she is a recovering alcoholic, and that is talked about a lot. You learn quite a bit about AA meetings and how things go, like when you get your 1-year badge and, you know, stuff like that. Like, that's talked about quite a bit. So if you don't know anything about that, that's fine. Like, they teach you. She was a little weird. Like, it said something along the lines of she's 26 years old and only has underwear from 10 years ago. Girl, buy some underwear. What are you doing? But besides that, I really liked this story. It's basically just like going through her day-to-day life, and you figure out who she was as a person, her friends she hung out with. It's just a really cool story. And you find out she became an alcoholic because her dad's also an alcoholic. So you got that going on. I will say there are some potential triggers in this book. There is the loss of a parent, alcoholism, like I said, you know, stuff like that. So if that triggers you, maybe don't read this book. But I had a really good time until towards the end when it started making me really like cry. Like, my husband was laying in bed next to me, and he was like, I didn't want to ask if you were okay, because I just heard you over there silently sobbing. He kept going, I heard you kept going. And that was just really funny to me, like, after the fact, but the book did make me sob. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This also I picked up in my book shopping video, and I was like, no, I'm probably not going to like that book. I'm not going to buy it. Well, now I wish I bought it. So I might have to go buy a physical copy of this soon, because I really did enjoy this book. So yeah, those are the 27 books I either read or attempted to read from May until July. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you felt the same way, if you felt differently. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day.